I myself was a blue wolf. There was a
Wait, so they're animorphs. This is they were watching Beast Wars is what happened, and then all this happened.
So let's start with that, and tell me what you see.
I see Kevin Spacey as clone.
Paul Serene, he was on the governing council of the ICC. So his
it's part of the lore.
Kevin Spacey.
Well, never mind.
Gymnasium.
Damn, he did his homework.
Typically, at least what I heard, black people require a different protocol of brainwashing.
Interesting. Any gonna follow? No follow up there. Okay.
Time flew by, and I was struck by the effortlessness
curious.
of retelling
I'd
the
like to
story
learn.
which I crafted.
Y'all love cults, eh? Should I just increase my cult content? We don't do a lot of cult content. Hells yeah. Oh wow, everyone loves cults. Probably start one soon.
Okay.
My fellow humans, I am Benjamin Fulford, spokesperson for the White Dragon Society. With me here is Chodoin Daikaku. He is the head of the world's martial arts societies, and if necessary, and in an emergency, he can summon up an army of 200 million people worldwide. Here on my right is Alexander Romanov, who is a grandmaster of...
Wait, did I hear that right? He can summon an army of 200 million people worldwide? Just at will? But he hasn't done it before? So no one's aware that he could do that, but that at any time he could do that. Wow.
An Illuminati group that claims to have started the French, Russian, and American revolutions. As you may know, there has been a battle going on over the future of
he
this
just doesn't
planet.
want to. I get that. No, I get that.
Back in May of 2021, I was exposed to a bizarre conspiracy community that makes flat earthers look reasonable by comparison. Unlike a lot of conspiracy theories, which tend to have a small degree of truth, which is often extrapolated into outright fiction, this conspiracy theory is based on nothing but pure fantasy. Imagine if someone told you they lived out the plot of the movie Total Recall, that they thought they were living a regular life until one day they recovered memories of being a secret agent fighting an evil organization on Mars. Now, what if they also said that they were a space marine who fought insectoid and reptilian extraterrestrials on different planets? And finally, what if they capped it all off by claiming to be G.I. Joe?
Well, I mean, it all seems on brand, to be honest with you. I like, you wouldn't lose me at that point. I wouldn't be like, whoa, wait, come on. Let's not get carried away here.
If you ever encounter someone like this, it's possible that they believe that they are part of the secret space program.
I love that. Just twirling towards freedom. Oh, what a great technique. That way, I get 360 coverage of my enemies at all times. No one can ever approach me from the back.
The secret space program is a conspiracy theory which has grown in popularity within the past decade.
Can we do that part again? Yes. Yes, we certainly can. We need to understand the techniques. We need to learn.
If you ever encounter someone like this,
it's
possible that they believe that they are part of the secret space.
Okay, that was good we did that, because I'm only now noticing the other gun, which is aiming backwards. So I assume if you could probably cork it so that you can handle the trigger and just release it. So you hold down, because it's got to be, I assume, an automatic rifle, right? Or at least semi-automatic. So that way you're just firing bullets in all directions, while you can do precision shooting with the other hand to make sure you knock off any targets that were missed in the spray that'll happen from the other weapon. Oh, brilliant. Army of one.
Ever encounter someone like this, it's possible that they believe that they are part of the secret space program. The secret space program is a conspiracy theory which has grown in popularity within the past decade. There are YouTube channels, social media groups, and entire conferences dedicated to a shared belief that humanity has already traveled to the far reaches of space, and that a shadowy world government has been hiding this truth from the masses. A lot of the people who buy into this theory also believe that they were abducted and forced to serve in the secret space program against their will. This isn't a LARP, or...
Well, I was gonna say that kind of like, this mixes, like, we've watched documentaries before on people who think they've had like alien abductions, so it's kind of combining that with a little bit more lore. It's just alien abduction with added lore to the package.
Or an ARG or a giant sci-fi influenced role-playing game. No. These people genuinely believe this stuff, and their community is getting bigger by the day. I wouldn't be surprised if in a few years, this overtakes Flat Earth as the most ridiculed conspiracy theory by the general population. And that's because it's way, way crazier. I was put onto this by a friend of mine who goes by the handle Vapes for Christ. Here's us talking about it on a Discord call.
So, like, I was listening to this podcast called The Unexplained of Howard Hughes. It's basically like the UK's equivalent to Coast to Coast. It's on the radio as well. And they just had this one guy in there I saw. His name was Captain Randy Kramer. Like, he was saying stuff like he was actually a genetically enhanced super soldier made in a lab in the late 1960s for a secret space program where he'd be battling aliens on Mars for the Mars Defense Force. And the more I looked into this, he's not alone. There's like a whole community of people that claim they've also been part of this program.
Randy lived on the planet Mars for 17 years, where he said there were approximately 6 to 7 million people living, including various ET races.
So I was genetically engineered from the ground up, tinkered with some extraterrestrial hybridized DNA to, be smarter, faster, stronger for soldiering abilities, where I spent a little over 17 years in the MDF, which is the Mars Defense Force.
Can you demonstrate these abilities for us right now? Can we see in which ways you are more enhanced than, say, the average human?
I was in the infantry there on the ground, mostly scuffling with indigenous reptoids and indigenous insectoids territorially, mostly really to test military equipment.
There are a lot of interesting characters in the SSP/Super Soldier world, such as Dwight Eisenhower's great-granddaughter, Laura
No, my powers only work on Mars. We're not worthy.
Magdalene Eisenhower, James Casbolt, a self-proclaimed former MI6 agent who's now in prison for trying to blackmail 2 million euros out of his Super Center heiress ex-wife, Haley Major, and Mark Richards, who's also in prison, not for
Was I seeing a pretty blatant OK symbol going down there?
blackmail this time, but instead for robbery and murder in the mid-1980s. He was also bizarrely plotting a paramilitary takeover of his county in order to turn it into King Arthur's court with himself as a king. Yeah, that's a thing. Within the community, these people are known as whistleblowers, individuals who risk their lives to disclose sensitive information about their time in the secret space program. Initially, I was struck by how these so-called whistleblowers spoke with such earnestness while claiming to have lived out grand stories akin to Z-grade science fiction. And more strikingly, was how many people seemed to believe them.
There is a secret space program which is funded by our taxes. We pay for our own enslavement. There are factions in space. They have anti-gravity propulsion system, anything you can think of, time travel, manipulating consciousness, it's all real.
When I first started looking to this community, I considered making a video about it, but I scrapped the idea fairly quickly. At the time, my idea was to make a video simply exploring the whistleblowers and the conspiracy theory, but I decided against it as I was more in the mood to work on something more ambitious and grand. So I set it aside and worked on a handful of other projects instead. However, there was a part of me that kept thinking about it. I found myself watching SSP videos during my free time, reading articles and browsing their community's forums. Eventually, it became my favorite pastime, and it was something that I was doing every single day. And what really intrigued me about it was it just kept getting crazier and crazier. And that's how I found my new favorite YouTube channel, Super Soldier Talk, which is run by a guy named James Rink. He's been doing it for 13 years, and he's been a hardcore believer of it for even longer than that. I found myself really drawn to James, especially his demeanor. I don't mean to ridicule the guy, but I genuinely just find him amusing.
So I am a super soldier. I've been involved in these the secret space program for...
I get it. It took a couple seconds, but I get it.
At least 330 years. I say that with a lot of hesitation because some of these projects, they have time compression zones where you're outside of time and the time is going by a little bit slower than the rest of reality. They use reaging tech, different cloning bodies. There's different techniques on how they can
getting pretty close to TOS here.
us and reuse us. I spent at least 75 years on Mars.
Anyway, James runs the most popular YouTube channel in the community. It consists of interviews he conducts with secret space program experiencers from around the world. The guests on James' show all claim to be victims of the secret space program. The roles that they were assigned to in the secret space program vary. Some are shapeshifters.
So today we have David Lotherington, who is an Akashic.
Wait, this is related to the SSP? Killer Gregory Desprez opened, or is it Desprez? Desprez ordered to remain in New Brunswick secure psychiatric facility. A New Brunswick man was found not criminally responsible after brutally killing his elderly neighbors in 2005. Was ordered Wednesday to remain under treatment in a secure psychiatric facility. During the trial in 2007, the court told Desprez he believed he was a pilot with an organization he referred to as the SSP, or the Super Space Patrol. At one point during Wednesday's hearing, a board member referred to him as Mr. Desprez, prompting Desprez to quickly correct him and saying it's Lieutenant Desprez. Or Desprez. 2 years ago, doctors at the Shipudi Healing, sorry, I'm butchering these pronunciations, Healing Center sought to have Desprez transferred to the Regouche Hospital Center in Camp Belton, New Brunswick, or a mental health care facility. He said he was beginning to stagnate. Oh wow! So that's when there's like the dark side of these beliefs, I guess.
Reader, healer, and telepath. And he also remembers being in a facility that trained his.
Oh, so Dupré was right. I was saying it right.
Also
if it's Dupré.
He recalls experiences as a super soldier in Kruger and has done training missions with zombies and vampires.
Well, there was one kid that turned into a turtle. There was a female that turned into an eagle, and that was used for surveillance. I myself was a blue wolf. There was
wait, so they're animorphs. This is they were watching Beast Wars is what happened, and then all this happened.
Another being that turned into a cat.
Others are cyborgs and off-world medics.
Oh, I mean, I started working on Mars. I was looking for bugs, they call them, mostly mantises. Mantises were really good at genetics, and they wanted like information from them and stuff like that, genetic information.
And there's even She-Hulks.
Both dolphins and hulks, we can go through walls, go through portals. We can echolocate, but some people call it bilocation.
I quickly realized that most of the people James interviews don't actually have any celebrity status within the secret space program community. They're nothing like Corey Good, who sells out venues for his talks. Instead, they are just average believers in the SSP conspiracy who somehow got connected with James and were subsequently invited onto his show. Upon realizing this, I started to formulate a plan. What if I made up a story about being in the secret space program and get onto James' show and share it with his community? And that's how I finally found an angle that compelled me enough to make a video about this topic. And the angle was to become a secret space program whistleblower myself.
Let's rock.
Hell yeah.
So if my goal still sounds too vague to you, I set up a criteria for how I was going to accomplish it. A set of rules, if you will. 1. Make up a compelling story about my time in the secret space program, which has to follow the established lore of the conspiracy. 2. Get onto a major platform within the community as a whistleblower and share my experience. I developed this criteria after thinking what's required to become an SSP whistleblower. Obviously, evidence of being in the secret space program isn't necessary at all. All that's needed is a story which follows the lore, and, after that, I just have to appear on a major platform and share it. I decided that I would aim to appear on James's channel. Like I said, it's the most popular YouTube channel in the community, and it's even had the illustrious Captain Randy Kramer on it twice. Unlike Captain Randy Kramer, or Corey Good,
this video is amazing.
I was
we watched
unlikely
it on
to get my own show on Gaia.com. So I settled for a more manageable, but still difficult task. To increase the difficulty, I chose not to use my own YouTube channel as a way to influence my way onto the show. Therefore, I needed to find a way to ingratiate myself with James, and hope that he decided to invite me on as a guest himself. Before I did that, I needed to create a compelling story. In order to craft my narrative, I began to study the plethora of interviews available on Jay's channel, as well as the SSP lore extensively.
Okay, open up your textbooks, It's time for me to start explaining the lore behind the secret space program. Now, I'm going to try and do this as fast as possible. Okay, so it started right before World War II when the Nazis were interested in mysticism.
Before World War II, the Nazis, who were interested in mysticism and alternative views, searched
Classic
the planet for
jump-off point.
fantastical powers. They found Maria Orsek, a medium and leader of the Vril Society, who channeled Nordic and Draco reptilians who offered the Nazis the semantics behind anti-gravity technology in UFOs. The Draco reptilians told the Nazis about ancient alien technology hidden in Antarctica, and in 1938, the Nazis traveled there. With this newfound tech, the Nazis created the Die Glocke, aka the Bell, which was capable of space and time travel. In 1942, the Nazis were already in space. There they built a base on the dark side of the moon. And by 1950, the Nazis were...
Isn't this a movie? Isn't this that like B horror film series, Nazis in Space or something like that? It feels like a movie.
On Mars. Despite having access to this advanced alien tech, the Germans still lost World War II because apparently the Germans who possessed the technology did not agree with Hitler's
Iron
regime,
Sky, that's
so there
right.
was a split.
The new Schwabenländers didn't want to support Hitler at the end of the war because they considered him insane and the final solution. So there was already a split.
In SSP lore, the Nazis capable of space and time travel became the Fourth Reich. And they pissed off to Antarctica and space while refusing to provide any support to the Third Reich Nazis during the war.
Okay.
Anyway, the evil globalists, i.e. the Cabal and the Illuminati...
Oh god. So it's combining so many other conspiracy theories into one. I just want to know, do the Fourth Reich, unlike the Third Reich, did they lose all the kind of gross anti-Semitism stuff, or does that also transfer over?
Or something, engaged in a Cold War against the Space Germans. Meanwhile, the Space Germans were also fighting the Draco reptilians and various alien life forms in space. The Antarctic/Space Germans would be responsible for abducting people to serve in joint black projects between themselves, the Cabal, aliens, and pretty much anybody with any power at all. This was the beginning of the secret space program. By the 1960s, the Space Germans created Notwaffen, aka Dark Fleet, and began an aggressive expansion out into the solar system, setting up bases on moons around Saturn, the Kuiper belts, and etc. Capable of time travel, the Space Germans also traveled back in time to settle on planets around the galaxy.
Now there's 3 billion people, humans, that live off-world under various German SSP groups protected by the Notwaffen.
I gotta say, like, it doesn't seem like they're LARPing. Seems like they're all kind of taking this in and being like, oh, yeah, that all makes sense. Like, how much of this, if you are new to SSP, but then you're like, oh, this all clicks, this all makes sense because this happened to me, I wonder how much of it you have to be fed before you're like, right, yes, and okay, yes, the space Nazis, that's where they were battling with the reptilians. Yeah, no, that's my life. This all checks out.
Often translated meaning Dark Fleet.
People who are forced into the secret space program are called MILABs, aka military abductees. These people are chosen because they are special and often because they are psychically gifted in some way. Around 30% of MILABs are SSP officers, and 70% of them are used as slaves.
Okay.
Individuals are abducted and could be used as just about anything in the SSP. Super soldiers, pilots, remote viewers, assassins, scientists, forced laborers, and even slaves. So, there you have it. That's a basic breakdown of the SSP lore. After spending months putting together my very own secret space program whistleblower testimony, I felt like I was ready to share it on James' show. The only problem was that he wasn't replying to any of my emails. But then I found an in. On his website was a page called My Lab Recovery Network, which was a list of people offering services to help recover secret space program related memories. At the top of the list was James. And for $200 USD, I could book a guided meditation regression session with him, which is exactly what I did at 6 a.m. on September 1st, 2021.
Of course.
Within 23 minutes, James got back to me with an email which read, "Hi Oki, I'm booked till the first week in October. Can I put you down for Tuesday, October 12 at an afternoon slot or evening time slot, EST zone? Which would you prefer?" By booking a hypnosis session with him, at least I had an in. It didn't mean that I would be invited onto a show, but it was a start. In order to ensure that I can get onto a show, I fine-tuned my story. I knew that my only option was to put on such a performance that it completely knocks him off of his feet. So for the next 41 days, I hunkered down and recited my script while polishing it all into something truly compelling. And finally, the day arrived. At 1 p.m. EST on October 12th, I got the Zoom call invite from James that I was waiting for. Our session lasted for 2 hours and 14 minutes. The results of the session exceeded my expectations.
I'm curious. What is your genetic background? Like, what ET groups are you connected with?
Draco reptilian humanoid hybrid, and then I think I also got like Anunnaki in me.
Do you know who you might have been in a past life?
Have you heard like the Black Samurai Yasuke?
You are a samurai?
Yeah. Dude, hold on. I'll show you something. Check this out.
That's pretty dope. And I was a gladiator.
That's awesome.
The goal here.
I feel like you're about to break. Feels like you're about to leave character for a second there.
I want us to take us into hyperspace. Let's put a gold shield of light around us. So at this point, we call upon Oki's higher self to overwrite any kind of AI. Begin to relax your forehead and your cheeks, and you can breathe just fine in and out as the relaxation goes down into your legs. As you fly through the clouds, the puffy clouds, you may jump around a little bit. Your higher self already knows where to go, so go ahead. When you're ready, step on through the door, and without putting any kind of conscious thought into it, just imagine what do you think would be behind that door. So let's start with that, and tell me what you see.
I see Kevin Spacey for his clone.
Paul Serene, he was on the governing council of the ICC. So his
it's
clone
part of the
is,
lore.
Kevin Spacey.
Well, never mind.
Gymnasium.
Damn, he did his homework.
It's me and at least 100 other. I think they're recruits.
Do you see anyone else there that you recognize?
I can still see the little smile though. I'm almost nervous. It's teetering on the edge here.
Nice.
I think I see.
Is it because his last name is Spacey? Yes, 100%. Story checks out. That's all the research I need.
Mr. Beast.
Today, we will be planting 20 million trees.
Okay, so they're probably programming him. So he's the guy that doesn't he like give away a bunch of free stuff on the videos?
Yeah.
They must have looked into his future and okay, so whatever trajectory, whatever plans they had for him was all programming stuff.
Anyway,
so close to breaking.
Anyway, the session was a success. Such a success that I got what I wanted. James invited me onto his show. Then he mentioned that it would be a little while before he could have me on his show.
I'm not gonna lie, the gladiator comment, I probably lost it. It doesn't matter how in character I was. If I just heard him say under his breath, like, yeah, I was a gladiator, I would have been like...
Because he was going to attend a secret space program conference taking place in early November. Without a second thought, I said that I'd be there.
Do you want to come on my show to share some of your experiences?
Yeah, hell yeah. That'd be awesome.
If you're coming out to Vegas, I could, maybe give you 45 minutes.
So a few days later, I traveled to Las Vegas and landed at around 12 p.m. after a 4-hour plane ride.
Oh, you want to follow this account? Sorry, I should be also promoting it. Oki's Weird Stories. Go forward, soldiers.
I'm here in Las Vegas for Cosmic Consciousness in Disclosure 5D events, specifically to meet some super soldiers. People who are part of this, who believe that they are part of the secret space program. This has been months in the making. Okay, this is gonna be fun, dude. I am so excited for this. Are you ready, Night Docs?
I'm as ready as I am gonna be, man. This is gonna be an exercise in patience for me. The golden nugget. Right here. Here we are.
Hell yeah.
I guess we're gonna go.
The scary thing is if you're trying to infiltrate an organization that is filled with super soldiers, and most of them have psychic powers, it's a big risk that they could be onto you. So I mean, you'd have to start filling your mind or start thinking like other narratives. Like you'd have to start actually just thinking about lies, so that if they were reading your thoughts at the time, you'd have perfect cover.
Learn how to.
Yeah, it's a lot of power for one room. A lot of people who studied the blade here.
Experienced this up on the Starship. I've been there several times. I spoke
Wait, is he the only person in the audience? Is it just him?
with the commander the Arcturian commander, who I am connected to.
Oh my.
They flew us to a separate base. We left this base and we went to a separate one on the moon, and it was U.S. military personnel. And the next morning they gave us a set of clothes to wear and put us on a larger craft and flew us to Mars. Flew out, we got away from the moon and immediately jumped to Mars.
Yes, I was talking about this concert, this Travis Scott concert, where 800 people were injected with these drone mosquitoes. You know, you see that, wow, they can go around and inject.
Why does this person seem familiar?
People.
The conference was a pretty fun but disorganized event. The two workshops we were really looking forward to attending were How to Become a Jedi Warrior and Quantum Spoon Bending, Bring Your Own Spoon.
Tomorrow's gonna be a fun day because tomorrow we get to go to How to Become a Jedi Warrior.
I'm excited about that one.
Yeah. That's gonna be amazing.
I would be too.
Unfortunately, when we showed up to the How to Become a Jedi Warrior workshop, no one was there, not even the speaker, so it was canceled.
We just got in here, we have no idea where anybody is.
This is not the workshop you're looking for.
I think you're right, I think the guy just gave up.
Yeah, I think it's been next.
So the best part tomorrow is we are gonna go to Quantum Spoon Bending, parentheses, Bring Your Own Spoons, close parentheses.
And the quantum spoon bending lesson was underwhelming since, instead of learning how to bend a spoon with our minds, we were instructed to physically do it with both hands.
Ah. I mean, that's still pretty impressive. I have a feeling this isn't like a regular spoon. Just speaking from experience, I don't know if I could just grab a spoon and twist it into a bow like that. All right.
Magical powers.
But the conference was secondary to my ultimate goal, which was to meet.
Oh yeah, no, they have massive grip strength for sure. Oh no, they've attended, you know, the liminal method. Definitely, you don't bend a spoon like that with the liminal method.
Meet James
Sure.
so he can interview me for his channel. It was during a workshop called My Life in the Secret Space Program that I finally got to meet him. Honestly, I felt sort of starstruck. I asked him to sign my copy of his book, and we talked for a bit before the workshop started. While walking around the venue, I noticed that James had sent me a text inviting me to his hotel room for an interview. Suddenly, a wave of anticipation and euphoria washed over me. This was it. Finally, after several months, the moment I was waiting for had arrived. I ran back to the workshop room, found Night Dox, and alerted him of the new development. We scrambled to get all of his equipment ready to film the interview and to get to Jay's hotel room as soon as possible. Time was of the essence. Therefore, being late was not an option. Night Dox, who was behind me, was still trying to attach his camera to a gimbal, which would not fit. Watching the minutes go by was excruciating. Eventually, I told him to leave the camera unattached from the gimbal, and we raced towards the elevator, getting lost a couple times along the way. After an elevator ride that felt way longer than it should have, we rushed towards James' hotel room before realizing that we walked in the wrong direction once again. Then we beelined it in the opposite direction, and finally found James' room. I knocked.
You can tell they're not real super soldiers. Real super soldiers, they wouldn't have these problems.
The time had finally come.
Oh, intense.
James had his camera equipment set up in the corner of the hotel room. He instructed me to take a seat in front of his camera and microphone. I asked him if it was okay if Night Dox filmed the interview, and he said it was fine. After a brief preliminary discussion, James started recording and we were underway. By then, any nervous anticipation I felt leading up to this face-to-face sit-down had completely dissipated. I was calm, knowing that I was more than prepared to speak about my time in the Secret Space Program in a convincing manner. The interview lasted 1 hour, and here's what happened.
Okay, so my name is Oki. So it started from before I was even born, where they genetically enhanced my DNA. And by the time I was 6, I was put into a special program run by Monarch. I was under direct tutelage of Paul Serene, Kevin Spacey's clone. There was 12 children who were trained directly under him, including myself and the YouTuber Mr. Beast.
So, can you comment about what you or maybe
Wait, how did Mr. Beast get roped into all this?
Mr. Beast or maybe the people in your group were all being groomed for?
We were pretty much put in a top elite special program. They pretty much utilized every method they could to use MK Ultra programming and to create killing machines.
Oh,
And I
he
was
in the
able
houses.
to
Oh, okay, it all
just
makes
look
sense.
at a photo of a target and make their head explode. Because I mean, there was billions of dollars spent on each and every single one of us. I particularly liked my psionic katana. I liked my my 2 daggers. I had a form of EMP that I could take out their technologies. In my past life, I was Yasuke, the Black Samurai.
Did any of your clones ever get changed into a zombie?
I had a clone. That clone actually was fighting zombies and vampires, and there was also Yetis that they were fighting.
Nice.
What about vampires? Do you recall any scenarios fighting vampires?
But this particular thing, this is something I learned about vampires actually, is that
Oh, no.
they can't help but count. From what I remember, most clearly,
Good
is that
trolling.
I do have many different clones of myself with parts of my consciousness uploaded into those clones. I was taken, I was cloned, and my clones with my consciousness inside of them were used pretty much as like kamikaze pilots.
Typically, at least what I heard, black people require a different protocol of brainwashing.
Interesting. Any gonna follow? No follow up there. Okay.
Time flew by, and I was struck by the
curious.
effortlessness of retelling
I'd
the
like to
story
learn.
which I crafted. I spoke for 1 hour with ease and told my story so coherently that I realized that if I was to continue to pursue a career as an influencer in the SSP community, I'd be able to become a prominent whistleblower. I could do workshops, sell books, charge for hypnosis sessions, be invited onto shows, and attend conferences as a speaker, just like the top members of the community. I would be able to mold a career out of it, which likely could be far more profitable than spending months making YouTube documentaries and releasing them only a few times a year. When I first became interested in the community and its major players, I wondered how these people could regurgitate their own bullshit with such ease, as if their lies didn't affect them at all. Were they deluded, or were they capitalizing on feeding lies to a fantasy-prone audience? And when I was being interviewed by James, I finally understood it. What you believe becomes your own reality, no matter how ridiculous it is. Spewing the nonsense story I crafted was like an out-of-body experience. I was playing a role, and even though I created the role, while I was performing it, it was like a switch in my brain went off and everything I said felt real. For that moment, I managed to delude myself and speak matter-of-factly about being trained by Kevin Spacey's clone along with Mr. Beast. I never broke character. I never felt like laughing or winking at the camera. I spoke stone-faced with deadly seriousness the whole time. It was so easy to detach myself from the situation and make it feel real. Overall, this whole journey has been a fascinating experience. I now feel as though many of the questions I had about charlatans, grifters, con men, and even cult leaders
I feel like you learned a little bit about acting there more than anything. Yeah,
starting to
acting.
make more sense. By stepping into their shoes, I feel like I gained insight into how they operate and what makes them tick. Like I said, if I wanted to, I could have continued to masquerade as a secret space program whistleblower and turn my lies into something truly profitable. Of course, I have no interest in doing so.
Oh.
Enhanced my DNA, and they took the DNA from my father and they put it in my mother, and
High views.
keeping tabs on me. And by the time I was 6, I was put into a special program run by Monarch. The leader of Monarch, Paul Serene, also known as Kevin Spacey's clone.
That's 729 upvotes. Can't see how many downvotes.
So on December 28th, 2021, James...
Hey! Have you been watching Vaush? Vaush? Is this someone else's suggested videos?
finally uploaded the interview we did in Las Vegas onto his YouTube channel. As I record this, the video is sitting around 13,000 views. The response from his community has been overwhelmingly positive. People left comments that indicate that they completely believed me. A couple people said that I was the best whistleblower testimony that they've heard on James's channel so far. Wow. And one person even said that they cried the whole way through the video. So that's that. I made up a story and officially got it to James's channel. I can now officially call myself a secret space program whistleblower, an elite among elites, a space samurai, MK Ultra victim who was trained by Kevin Spacey's clone to become a killing machine. If you want to watch the full interview I had with Jay as well as our hypnosis session, please subscribe to my Patreon. Otherwise, follow me on social media.
That was wild, interesting. When he said whistleblower, though, I thought he was gonna take it one step further and then publicly become a whistleblower and be like, I was a part of this organization, but I have to report on things that they're doing that are not, coherent with the SSP philosophy. That is wild, though. Absolutely wild. Don't be alone in a room with Kevin Spacey's clone. It was better? Yeah, I mean, he actually did infiltrate it. That is pretty incredible.
Do you enjoy the Serfs but prefer not to have to use your eyeballs? Many are saying this. Well, we've got the solution for you. It's the Serf Times in podcast form. Available on most major podcasting networks now. If you enjoy it, please consider leaving a good review and feedback because it really helps the show out, apparently, and it's free, just like the podcast.
To our gods, Xander Corvus and Peyton L. Just, we beseech thee to smite down our enemies. To our monarch, Tom Spiker, we are but your humble court jesters, here to amuse you. To our lords, Trevor R., we give thanks for this spit of land for us to eke out this meager existence. To our knights, Merid, Cheryl Alvarez, Ruby Kelly, Ellie Leslie, Alex P., Brandon, Words Greenwood, Nate, that one guy, Hagbird Celine, Matthew Scarborough, Stellar Vision, Ariane McCarthy, Daniel Sutton, Coulter Smith, Val 9000, Jenna Tall, Quiet 185, Anna Loves Riley, Omni, Riley and Anna, Poodlehawk, The Tim Caucus, Multi Mondi, Trevor Yanis, Lemmy 101, Anthropophojack, Cern 42, Catherine, Radical Maniac, Ramon Acosta, Nkosin, Violent Orchard, Sophie Baby, Political Puppy, Andreas Chiringuito, Zach Christensen, Josh Mickelson, Todd Buckingham, and Todd Lajeunesse. We raise our flag in a veil, and we salute you, our friends.